Welcome back to the 2016-2017 NBA preview. Today we are finally in the top 10, covering the 10th ranked team, the Memphis Grizzlies. My name is Joshua Envyerz, and with me today, my co-host like usual.
How's it going, guys? It's the king of the fourth quarter. Welcome back to the NBA preview.
The Memphis Grizzlies, a very, very injury-plagued team last season. Had a total of how many different players? You said 28 different players?
28 different players suited up for them last season. 28. That is just ridiculous.
That is. I know Ray McCallum was one of those dudes, Jordan Farmar, Bryce Cotton, and a bunch of other players that are third string, fourth string point guards and players that shouldn't really be in the league anymore. You know, it was absolutely crazy how many players they were going through. Injuries definitely killed this team last season, but somehow, although all signs were looking towards them to tank, they still made the playoffs just to get swept by the San Antonio Spurs. And Dave Joerger said they played with heart. But Dave Joerger, he wanted the opportunity to explore his contract options with different teams, and the Memphis Grizzlies did not like that because I believe he did that already like 2 years in a row out of the 3 years he's been there, and they didn't like that, so they decided to fire him. And now, who's their new coach?
David Fizdale.
David Fizdale. He was, I believe, with the Miami Heat when LeBron was there as an assistant coach, so not too much that I know about him. You know anything about him?
From what I just read, he wants to keep the same Dave Joerger grit and grind defensive type play, but that's all I know. He's a rookie coach, basically, so a rookie head coach at least.
We'll definitely see what happens there because, I don't know, the Memphis Grizzlies, in my opinion, should have never filed Lionel Hollins, but I guess we'll see what happens with this Memphis Grizzlies team. I got high hopes for him. I believe you do too as well.
I do too, yeah.
All right.
We're in agreement.
So moving on to the offseason moves for this Memphis Grizzlies team, they acquired Chandler Parsons. Man, this is a really questionable move by the Memphis Grizzlies, in my opinion. When this happened, I tweeted it out saying the Memphis Grizzlies got a whole lot worse and the Dallas Mavericks got a whole lot better without re-signing this man.
And personally, I like the signing. Who the starting small forward last year was Matt Barnes. I think it's a significant upgrade. So I like this one a lot. I mean, I know they threw him a bunch of money, but as you mentioned in a couple episodes, the CBA's going up. So I like this signing a bunch, and that's one of the reasons why I'm high on them. They got a little more score in their lineup.
It makes this overall rotation a lot older because none of these starting dudes are young. Chandler Parsons is going to be the youngest player in that starting rotation,
right?
Which we'll look at in a second. But Chandler Parsons with the Dallas Mavericks, he didn't bring it. He was always hurt, especially in the playoffs when they needed him the most. He was never there for them, and I hope that he's going to be there with the Memphis Grizzlies.
The way I see it, when Chandler Parsons was drafted in the second round, he got play time because he played hard. Eventually, he cracked the starting rotation. I think he kind of took a step back and he stopped playing hard, defensively, offensively, whatever it is. I'm hoping that in Memphis, it's a new beginning for him. He's alongside players that actually have a little experience in winning, not getting as far as like the championship, but some experience in winning. And hopefully that's enough for him to get back to where he was when he first got into the league, because he played hard. He played really hard.
They also acquired James Ennis and Troy Daniels, minor acquisitions right there. Lost Matt Barnes, Chris Anderson, Lance Stevenson, and PJ Harrison. Drafted Wayne Baldwin at number 17 and Deontay Davis at number 31. Really like their draft picks.
I personally don't know much about those two guys, so I'm going to take your word for it.
Partially the reason Deontay Davis was this low, in my opinion, I feel like the underperformance in the Michigan State March Madness tournament. They got knocked out in the first round, and a lot of people are calling him just athletic big, and he has no like offensive game. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does with this Memphis Grizzlies team.
So probably one of their biggest moves besides Chandler Parsons is, of course, keeping Mike Conley, giving him the biggest deal we've ever seen.
True.
What do you think about that?
He's getting paid. This contract makes him no longer an underrated point guard, in my opinion. If you're getting paid this much, you shouldn't be called an underrated point guard or NBA player. But he'll probably still be called an underrated player because unless he makes the All-Star team, the NBA doesn't give this man enough credit for, continuously getting this team to the playoffs.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people, at least when the contract went down, they were wondering, like, why is Memphis throwing this guy that much money? If they would have lost him, they would have been screwed. There were no other point guards on the market. They had no choice but to re-sign Mike Conley if they wanted to stay contenders. So I thought it was a smart move. Again, a bunch of money, but they had no choice, really.
Yeah, the Mike Conley contract does not look as bad as the Marc Gasol contract at this point. He's getting up there in age, and it's been looking like he's been plateauing. While Mike Conley, he's like almost 30 years old in a few years, I believe. Definitely a contract that we'll have to see what happens with. But I feel like Mike Conley can perform. So moving on to the rotation of this Memphis Grizzlies team. The projected starting lineups looks like Mike Conley, Tony Allen, Chandler Parsons, Zach Randolph, and Marc Gasol. Like I said earlier, a very, very old, not super old, but older than what seems to be the average around the league, while their bench looks like Wayne Baldwin, Jordan Adams, Vince Carter, JaMychal Green, and Brandon Wright.
So they really don't have a backup point guard, huh?
I mean, they're trusting a lot in Wayne Baldwin and Andrew Harrison. So I guess they're really trusting the rookie and Mike Conley to perform and not get injured.
That's some big trust because last year, of course, Mike Conley had his injuries. Pretty much throughout his entire career, he's been kind of injury prone. So that's a big trust. I like when they had Mario Chalmers, even though it was just for a little while before he injured himself. At least Mario Chalmers is a solid backup. I think there's still guys on the market, but maybe they just don't have the money anymore after Chandler Parsons and Mike Conley. So I wish they got another point guard at least.
That's probably their biggest hole right there. You just wouldn't hope injuries to happen all over again this season, because then it would be awful to see this Memphis Grizzlies team, who looks like now with the Thunder out of the equation and Kevin Durant with the Golden State Warriors, this Grizzlies team should be one of the elite teams in the Western Conference, at least for this upcoming season. Should. Keyword should.
Right.
So moving on to the projections of this Memphis Grizzlies team. Memphis Grizzlies went 42-40 last season, above 500 team. Even though with all the injuries last season, they still managed to be an above 500 team, which is crazy. Over, under, where do you see this Memphis Grizzlies being this season?
I'm going over in hopes that they can stay healthy, in hopes that Chandler Parsons can actually be as good as they want him to. So I'm going to go over, I would say 48-49.
48-49 wins?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go over as well. And I'm going to, take it up a notch. 46-48 wins is a super reasonable record for this Memphis Grizzlies team. I mean, last year, like I said, their record was 42-40. A good majority of their roster was out for the playoffs and throughout the season, and they still managed to make playoffs. So, if healthy, this team could be a 46-48 win record team. But if they click and if Chandler Parsons is really an amazing acquisition, this team can win 50 games. The only question I have about this team is, how's the coaching job going to be? Can this new coach push this veteran team into the 50 win range with the elite companies such as the Warriors, the Spurs, and the Clippers? I would really love to see that, because I feel like their window of opportunity is closing, especially, like I said, the age in that starting rotation. It's not getting any younger. They have a lot of 30-year-olds and guys almost on the verge of 30, so this team has to win now and start winning now before this team falls apart. I feel like this core with the Memphis Grizzlies team has a couple of good years left in them, but I'm not really one to call a team old, considering my favorite team is called old every season and they continue to outperform everybody. So hopefully this Memphis Grizzlies team can outperform people's expectations. I feel like this is a reasonable ranking for this team.
Yeah, but even if it did happen, I don't think many people would be surprised either. So
it's definitely their year to try.
Yep.
So with that said, this is our projection for the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the comment section below, along with leaving a like in this video if you did enjoy, along with sharing it on any social medias that you do have. It really helps the series grow. All of our social media links are in the description below for you to check out if you wish to do so. With that said, we really hope you enjoyed.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Be looking out for the next episode tomorrow.
We'll see you then.